Good morning and welcome to lecture number 20 of mechatronics. We are going to see unit number 5 in this lecture. So we have started unit number 5 and my name is Sachin Todkar. I'm assistant professor in mechanical engineering department, Sahyadri. In last lecture we have seen modeling and analysis of mechatronic systems. We have seen mechanical and rotational systems. In this lecture we are going to see electrical, fluid, thermal systems building block, definition of stability of system, stability analysis via identification of poles and zeros. So that will be our agenda of this lecture number 20. Now, what are the building blocks of electrical system? We know that resistance, capacitance and inductance will be coming into picture in case of your electrical systems. Okay. So this current is flowing through resistor, this coil, that is inductance coil, and capacitor. So the resistor, for a resistor, resistance R, the potential difference V across it when there is current I through it is given by V is equal to R into I. So this is the basic law of resistance. For inductor, it is V is equal to L into di by dt, because here for inductance potential difference is nothing but it is a first derivative of current, and for capacitance it is V is equal to I upon C multiplied by Q, where Q is the charge on the capacitor. So voltage will be given by V is equal to Q by C. It is 1 upon C into Q, that is Q by C. By Kirchhoff's law, we know that total voltage will be equal to VR, so voltage across resistance plus voltage across inductance plus voltage across capacitance. So the equation will become R into I, because VR is equal to Ri. VL is equal to L into di by dt and VC. We know that as current is equal to capacitance multiplied by dVC by dt, and di by dt is equal to C into d square Vc by dt square. So by simplification we get V is equal to RC dVc by dt plus L into C d square Vc by dt square plus V into C. Now we'll see the electrical and mechanical analogy between the equations. We know in case of spring mass damper system we have derived this formula m d square x by dt square plus c into dx by dt plus k into x is equal to force. So where x is the displacement and c is the velocity. So if we'll see the analogy, the same kind of equation we get here in electrical also. So here second derivative of Vc, here first derivative of Vc, and Vc will come into picture. The analogy will give you the potential difference, force, etc. These analogical terminologies. Now in case of fluid systems, three basic building blocks equivalent to resistance, capacitance and inductance we are going to see. The fluid systems are of two types. One is hydraulic kind of system in which there will be liquid which is incompressible. In case of pneumatic system, there will be gas which is compressible. So we are going to see both the systems in different slides. So here there will be pressure differential. P1 and P2 will be their pressure differential. In case of electric, there is a voltage differential. Then Q will be the volumetric rate of flow, and we are going to see what is hydraulic resistance. It is the resistance to flow which occurs as a result of liquid fluid flowing through the wall or change in pipe diameter. The relationship between volume flow rate and resistance element and the resulting pressure differential we are going to see. P1 minus P2, that is difference in pressure, must be equal to resistance multiplied by the discharge Q. Of discharge is nothing but the volume flow rate. So where R will be the hydraulic resistance due to that wall or due to the change in the diameter of pipe. Similarly, hydraulic capacitance. This term is used to describe energy storage with a liquid when it is stored in the form of potential energy. So H will be the height of liquid and Q1 and Q2 will be the rate of flow through these two pipelines. Then Q1 minus Q2 must be equal to dV by dt, where dV by dt is nothing but rate of change of volume in container. So again we are going to see this analogy between electrical and hydraulic systems. So Q1 minus Q2 will, okay, so then Q1 minus Q2 must be equal to dV by dt, where dV by dt is a rate of change of volume in container. So there will be Q1 is input and Q2 is output of this particular container. So Q1 minus Q2 must be equal to rate of change of volume in that container. Now Q1 minus Q2 must be equal to derivative of area into H, height. So this is volume, area into height of that water. So if we'll derive this, you'll get H is equal to P pressure upon rho G. So this is the formula which we have seen in fluid mechanics also. So the same formula is came here, and you can simplify this with the help of differential equation. So A and rho G both are constant. So there will be change in pressure with respect to time, that is dP by dt. So we'll consider this A upon rho G is equal to C, which is constant. It is called as hydraulic capacitance. So this capacitance is nothing but it is equivalent to electrical capacitance, and it is written as C is equal to A upon rho G. So there will be question in your exam that what is equivalent hydraulic capacitance. So you should know it is A upon rho G. Now the third terminology, that is hydraulic inertance. What is that inertance? Inertance is nothing but it is equivalent to inductance in electrical system. So how we are going to find out that hydraulic inertance, that we are going to see here. F1 minus F2 is equal to P1A minus P2. There is mistake. P1 minus P2 into A. This net force causing the masses to accelerate with an acceleration A. Therefore, P1 minus P2 into A must be equal to mass into acceleration. We know that force into area is pressure into area is nothing but force, and mass into acceleration is also force. So here we will modify this equation to get the inertance value, and that inertance is nothing but L into rho divided by A is equivalent to hydraulic inertance. So it is equivalent to your inductance in case of electrical system. So these two terminology we have to remember with the help of this you can say formulation or derivation. We have to remember that the same thing, I inertance is equal to L into rho divided by A. Now we'll build one model for fluid system. Now this figure shows a simple hydraulic system, a liquid entering and leaving a container. Such a system can be considered to consist of capacitor, the liquid in container, with a resistor. Resistor is wall. Inertance can be neglected since flow rate changes only very slowly. For the capacitor, we can write Q1 minus Q2 is equal to C into dP by dt, because the change in pressure with respect to time will give you this Q1 minus Q2. The rate at which liquid leaves the container Q2 equals to the rate which it leaves the wall. Thus, for resistance, we are going to consider this wall as resistance. This wall will act as a resistance kind of thing. So sorry. This wall will act as a resistance in that particular case. So P1 minus P2 must be equal to R into Q2. The pressure difference P1 minus P2 is the pressure due to height of liquid in the container and is thus H into rho into G. Thus Q2 is equal to H rho G divided by R. So substituting for Q2 in the first equation, we get here Q2 is equal to this one. So substituting for that Q2 in first equation, equation number 1, and since C is equal to, we have seen area upon rho into G, we have seen in third or fourth slide. So that we are going to replace here and you will get value of Q1. This equation describes how the height of liquid in the container depends on the rate of input of the liquid into container. We know that if there is output has been blocked, the height will be directly proportional to the value of Q1 coming in the container. So this is the fluid system model we have built here. Pneumatic systems. Now in this case, pneumatic system have some building blocks like only one thing will be the difference, that is gases are compressible. So change in pressure will cause the change in volume also. The basic blocks will be pneumatic resistance, pneumatic capacitance and pneumatic inertance. Only we are going to consider that the gases are compressible, so there will be change in pressure, then there will be change in volume also. Now in case of pneumatic resistance, resistance is defined as mass flow rate. So resistance will be R into dm by dt or m dot. Dm by dt is nothing but you can write here m dot. The mass of the gas P1 minus P2 is equal to pressure differential and R will be equal to resistance. Similarly, pneumatic inertance is due to the pressure drop necessary to accelerate a block of gas. So inertance can be written like this: I is equal to L upon A. So this derivation is important, but we need a final formula, that is L upon A will be sufficient for that. Pneumatic capacitance is due to compressibility of the gas. In case of hydraulic, there was no compressibility. In case of gases, we are going to take here compressibility effect here. So due to that, there will be change in volume with respect to time as well as change in density with respect to time. These two terms will come into picture, and that's why the rate of change of mass in the container will be written as rho into dV by dP and dP by dt. So this is, you can say, a partial derivative V upon RT into dP by dt, and this is the simplification of that particular capacitance. So we have to remember this capacitance formula. C1 will be equal to this one and C2 will be equal to this one. You will get two capacitance in case of pneumatics, because in pneumatics we are going to consider change in volume also. So this is change in volume with respect to pressure. Okay. Now analogy between electrical and fluid systems. This will skip timing because yeah, this will skip. Thermal system building blocks, we'll see. This thermal system, there will be temperature differential and R will be thermal resistance in this case. So rate of flow will be equal to T2 minus T1 divided by thermal resistance. In case of conduction mode, R will be equal to length divided by area into thermal conductivity, A upon K. In case of convective mode, R will be equal to 1 upon A into heat transfer coefficient. Okay, so these two will be in case of your conduction convection, and in case of this thermal capacitance, radiation we are not going to consider here. Thermal capacitance is a measure of the store of internal energy in the system. It is defined by the following: Q1 minus Q2 is equal to C into dt divided by dt. So this is temperature and this is time. The capital T is temperature differential and small t is time. So rate of change of internal energy will be equal to C into change in temperature with respect to time. We'll consider one model of thermal system. In this case, if the thermal resistance to heat flow from liquid to the thermometer is R, then Q is equal to TL minus T divided by R. So TL is liquid temperature and T is the temperature which has been measured, where Q is the net rate of heat flow from liquid to thermometer, and thermal capacitance C of the thermometer is given by, we have seen, C into dt by dt. Since there is only a net flow of heat from the liquid to the thermometer, Q1 is equal to Q and Q2 is equal to 0. Thus, you can write here Q1 minus Q2 is equal to Q and it is equal to C into dt by dt. Substituting this value of Q in the earlier equation, this equation, we can write like this. And if we'll rearrange the equation, we'll get R into C dt by dt plus T is equal to liquid temperature. This is first order differential equation which gives you the idea of how the temperature will increase in thermometer. These are some analogical terminology in different systems. We have seen mechanical and rotational systems in previous lecture. Now we have seen electrical, fluid and thermal systems. So this is analogy between, these are equations. Then how energy will be calculated, how the spring system will be shown, how inductance, inertance will be represented or resistance will be represented, that is given in this tabular format which we have seen in these two lectures. Now how to find out the stability analysis, because in exam they may ask you the numericals based on stability analysis, and for stability analysis we have to find out two square roots of that particular equation. The system is called relatively more stable if settling time of the system is less than that of the other. Relative stability is also measured by location of dominant roots of the characteristic equation in the S plane. So we are going to find out the values of these two poles and zeros. Now we have seen in chapter number 2 transfer function. Now how the transfer function can be used in case of stability analysis. We are going to find out the roots of this equation and poles and zeros of that system. We can plot the poles and zeros on S plane and you will get the values if the order of n and d polynomial is m and n respectively, then it is said has m zeros and n poles. The poles are designated by cross and zeros are designated by zero symbol. This is the equation in which we are going to find out how to find out the poles and zeros. So in case of numerator is equal to 0, you will get the system zeros, and if denominator is equal to 0, you will get system poles to be calculated. So if you can calculate the poles and zeros, then you can find out if the system is stable or not. We'll see one by one example. There is one linear differential equation d square y by dt square plus 5 dy by dt plus 6y is equal to twice du by dt plus 1. Find the system's poles and zeros. Now from the differential equation of we can find out the transfer function as 2s plus 1 divided by s square plus 5s plus 6. So how it has been find out? So if we'll see here properly, in numerator this du by dt will be replaced by s 2s plus 1, and in case of denominator it is s square plus 5s plus 6. This you can find with the help of Laplace transform, which we have seen in chapter number 2. So with the help of Laplace you can find out this equation. Now with the help of this transfer function, we can simplify it with the help of some mathematical operations. Just like I have divided here by 2, and this has been taken here. 1 by 2 is taken common, so it is s plus 1 by 2. Here s square plus 5s plus 6 is equal to s plus 3 and s plus 2. Again I have simplified because I need in this format s minus z1, s minus z2, and s minus p1, s minus p2. So if we'll see with the same format, it is equal to s minus minus 1 by 2 and s minus minus 3, s minus minus 2. So you'll get the real zeros at minus 1 by 2, and poles will be at minus 3 and minus 2. So if we'll see in this plane, 1 minute, yeah. So both the poles and zeros are minus, and in the case if both the poles and zeros are minus, it will come in the region of this quadrant. And if the values are coming in this quadrant, then this is a stable region. Poles and zeros both are coming in quadrant number 4. Sorry, this is 1, 2, 3, quadrant number 3. So this is quadrant number 1, in which both values will be positive, as this is positive, this is also positive, this is positive, this is negative. Here both are negative, so they are coming in this quadrant, poles and zeros. So we can find out like this, and we'll solve some more numericals in next lecture also. So we have to find out only poles and zeros at that particular, you can say, transfer function. So it is relevantly easy to find out poles and zeros, and they may ask you 2 marks question on poles and zeros in final examination. So you have to study hard. In next lecture we'll see 2 or 3 numericals based on poles and zeros. So till then, if you have any doubt, you can ask me right now. Stop the recording.